The training hall of Galactic War Academy Station Arcturus was silent. Hundreds of alien cadets sat in curved rows around the combat arena, watching the center floor where new students were being introduced. Most of them were from powerful species, warrior races, conquerors, predators. But today, there was something different. At the edge of the room stood a single human, Cadet Daniel Reyes, 19 years old. Born on Earth, the first human ever accepted into the Galactic War Academy. And the room was full of whispers, soft clicks of mandibles, low alien laughter. Because humans had a reputation. Not a good one, but a strange one, that the galaxy called Earth a death world, that a planet with violent storms, crushing gravity, poisonous creatures, and diseases that could wipe out entire civilizations. Most species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds. Worlds where survival was easy. Earth was not one of those worlds. But the aliens did not see that as impressive. They saw it as primitive, uncivilized, barbaric, and the cadets watching Daniel believed one simple thing. Humans were weak. That a tall reptilian cadet leaned toward his friend and whispered loudly, "That's the human?" His scales rattled in amusement. "He looks fragile." Another alien laughed. "I thought Deathworlders were supposed to be terrifying." Daniel heard every word, but he didn't react. He simply stood there quietly with his hand behind his back, watching, listening, learning. At the center of the arena, the instructor stepped forward. Commander Zarek Thull, a towering alien war veteran from the Croth Dominion. Nearly 8 feet tall, covered in thick armored plates. His species had conquered 12 star systems. He looked down at Daniel with open amusement. "So," Zarek said loudly, "this is the human." More laughter spread through the hall. Daniel met his eyes calmly. "Yes, sir." Zarek walked in a slow circle around him, studying him like a scientist studying an insect. "Tell me, human," Zarek said, "your species evolved on a world full of storms, predators, and poison." He leaned closer. "Yet you look very soft." The room laughed again. Daniel didn't respond. Zarek smirked. "You see, cadets," he continued, turning toward the audience. "This is why the council allowed a human into the academy." He gestured toward Daniel. "A curiosity. A biological experiment." The laughter grew louder. "Today," Zarek said, "we will demonstrate why some species are warriors and others are not." He pointed to the arena floor. "Human, step forward." Daniel obeyed. The arena lights brightened. Combat drones floated overhead, recording the moment. "Simple test," Zarek said. "You will spar with one of my cadets." He raised his hand. A massive alien stepped into the arena. Cadet Rogath, a warrior from the Gorth species. Over 9 feet tall. Nearly 400 kilograms of muscle. His fists alone were bigger than Daniel's head. The room erupted in excited whispers. "This will be quick." "Poor human. Someone call medical." Rogath looked down at Daniel and spoke gently. "I do not wish to hurt you." Daniel nodded. "I understand." Commander Zarek raised his hand. "Combat rules are simple," he said. "No weapons. No letales triques. Fight until surrender." He looked at Daniel with a cruel smile. "You may begin." Rogath stepped forward slowly. The arena floor trembled with each step. Daniel did not move. The giant alien threw the first punch. Fast, brutally powerful, that a strike that would shatter bone. But Daniel wasn't there anymore. He moved sideways. Quick, smooth. The punch hit nothing but air. The crowd blinked in confusion. Rogath turned. Daniel had already moved again. Always just out of reach. Dodging, shifting, watching. Zarek narrowed his eyes. "Interesting." Rogath attacked again. Another massive strike. Another. Miss 0.5 seconds passed. Then 10. Then 20. The giant warrior was breathing heavier. And the human was still untouched. A murmur spread across the hall. "Why isn't he attacking?" Then one alien whispered something that made the others uneasy. "He's not fighting. He's studying." Daniel watched Rogath's movements carefully. Every step, every breath, every shift of weight. Then finally, he moved. One fast step forward. 2 fingers pressed into a small nerve cluster under Rogath's arm. The giant alien froze. His entire arm went numb. Before he could react, Daniel stepped behind him, hooked Rogath's leg, and used the alien's own weight to pull him down. The massive warrior crashed on the arena floor. The sound echoed through the hall. Silence. Complete silence. Daniel stood calmly beside him, breathing steady. Commander Zarek stared at the human. For the first time since the demonstration began, he was no longer smiling. Because something was very wrong. The human had not used strength. He had not used power. He had used patience. And patience was a hunter's weapon. Daniel looked at the commander and spoke calmly. Sir, my planet teaches something very early. Zarek's eyes narrowed. And what is that? Daniel's voice was quiet, but every being in the hall heard it. On Earth, we don't need to be the strongest predator. He looked down at the fallen giant. We just need to be the one that never stops hunting. And suddenly, the entire room realized something terrifying. The human had not been defending himself from the moment the fight began. He had been hunting. The corridor lights flickered once, then went dark. For a moment, the entire station froze. An O1 moved, and O1 spoke. Then the emergency lights activated, bathing the hallway in a dim red glow. Captain Reth felt something cold crawl down his spine. Power fluctuation, one of the officers asked. The technician checked his console. His 4 eyes widened. No, something shut it down. Reth frowned. Who? The technician hesitated. Then he whispered, the human. Silence filled the room. Impossible. The human was locked inside a containment cell made of reinforced alloy designed to hold creatures 10 times stronger. Yet the systems clearly showed something terrifying. The security locks were being overridden from the inside. Reth slammed his claw on the console. That is impossible. But the technician's voice trembled. Captain, the human isn't breaking the system, he's controlling it. A few officers slowly stepped back. Every alien race in the galaxy knew the rumors about humans, Deathworlders, creatures born on a planet filled with predators, storms, and disasters. But most believed those stories were exaggerated. Until now, suddenly, a loud metallic sound echoed through the station. Clang, clang, clang. Everyone turned toward the containment corridor. Each step echoed like thunder. The guards near the door raised their plasma rifles. Hold position, one of them shouted. The door slowly opened. Steam poured out. And through the smoke, a tall human figure stepped forward, calm. Unafraid, one of the guards whispered nervously. That's impossible. Because the human was supposed to be restrained, but the metal cuffs hung loosely from his wrists, bent like soft wire. The human looked around the corridor slowly, studying, observing, calculating. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet, but every alien in the hallway felt it. I told you. The guards tightened their weapons. The human continued. You shouldn't have touched the child. Captain Reth appeared on the security screen. His voice was furious. Seize him. 5 guards opened fire instantly. Bright plasma bolts filled the hallway. But the human moved faster than any of them expected. One guard blinked, and suddenly the human was in front of him. The rifle was ripped from his hands. Another guard fired again, but the human used the first guard as cover. The plasma bolt hit the wall instead. Chaos exploded in the corridor. Within seconds, 3 guards were on the ground. Unconscious, not dead. The human had held back, which somehow made it even more terrifying. The remaining guards slowly backed away, and O1 wanted to be the next one to attack. That on the security screen. Captain Reth stared in disbelief. How is he doing that? The technician answered quietly. Captain, humans evolved under gravity 3 times stronger than ours. Another officer added, and their bones are reinforced with dense calcium structures. The technician continued, and their muscles generate far more force than standard galactic species. Silence filled the control room. Reth finally understood something horrifying. They had not captured a prisoner. They had captured a predator. Back in the corridor, the human placed the stolen rifle on the floor. He didn't even need it. He looked at the remaining guards calmly. I'm not here for war. Then his eyes hardened. But I will protect my people. One guard nervously asked, Your people? The human nodded toward the lower district of the station, where the small human colony lived, where the injured child was being treated. Then the human said something that made every alien uneasy. You think humans are dangerous? He paused, then added quietly, You haven't seen dangerous yet. Suddenly, an alarm exploded across the station. Warning. Unknown fleet key. Every screen lit up with incoming signals. Ships, hundreds of them, dropping out of hyperspace around the station. Captain Reth's voice shook. What? What fleet is that? The technician checked the registry. Then he slowly turned toward the captain, his voice barely above a whisper. Human military fleet. And the message that arrived with them was even worse, a single line broadcast across every system. You hurt one of ours. Now we are coming. The entire station shook, not from weapons, not from explosions, but from the sudden gravitational shock of hundreds of ships dropping out of hyperspace. Every screen in the command center filled with red alerts warning multiple unknown warships. Captain Reth stared at the tactical display. Dots appeared everywhere. Then more. Then even more. The officer controlling the sensors whispered slowly. Captain, the count just passed 200. Another officer added nervously. And they are still arriving. Reth's claws tightened on the console. That's impossible. Humans don't have fleets this large. The technician shook his head. Maybe we were wrong about humans. On the main screen, the image zoomed outward. What appeared made the entire room silent. Human ships surrounded the station in every direction. Massive warships, dark metal hulls, engines glowing blue. Each ship was armed with weapons powerful enough to erase cities. Yet none of them fired. They simply waited, watching. Judging that a signal suddenly appeared on the communication panel, incoming TRANS identification, human defense. Reth hesitated. Then he answered. The screen changed. A human officer appeared. She wore a dark military uniform, her face calm, but her eyes were cold. I am Admiral Hayes of the Human Defense Fleet. No one in the command center spoke. Her voice remained controlled. We received a distress signal from a human colony on this station. Reth forced himself to remain calm. There's been a misunderstanding. The Admiral tilted her head slightly. An alien officer assaulted a human child. Silence, she continued. And you imprisoned the human who stopped it. Reth quickly replied. He attacked station security. The Admiral didn't react. She simply looked at another screen. Security footage confirms the guards opened fire first. The room became even quieter. Then she said something that made every alien uncomfortable. Humans try very hard to be peaceful. Her eyes lifted slowly. But we do not tolerate threats to our children. Behind her, the massive fleet filled the background of the screen. Weapons slowly powered up, not firing, just preparing to a silent warning. Reth swallowed. What do you want? The Admiral answered immediately. Release the human. Apologize to the child. And remove the officer who started this. One of the alien officers whispered nervously. Captain, their fleet can destroy this station in seconds. Another officer added, and the nearest defense fleet is 4 hours away. Reth looked at the screen again, 200 warships, maybe more, all waiting, but something else bothered him. They haven't fired a single shot. The technician nodded slowly. They're giving us a choice. Meanwhile, deep inside the station corridor, the human still stood surrounded by stunned guards. He had not moved. He had not attacked again. He was simply waiting. One guard looked at the tactical display on the wall. His eyes widened. By the stars, the human followed his gaze. Outside the station window, hundreds of human warships floated silently in space. The guard looked back at the human slowly. You called them? The human shook his head. No, the guard frowned. Then how did they know? The human answered calmly. We have protocols. What protocols? The human gave a small smile. If a human child is hurt, he looked at the fleet outside. Every human in range responds. Back in the command center, Captain Reth finally understood something terrifying. This was not revenge. This was instinct. Humanity protected its young with absolute loyalty, and now the entire station was surrounded by the consequences. The Admiral spoke again. Captain, you have 60 seconds to decide. The timer appeared on every screen. 6:5958. The command center filled with tension. Officers whispered nervously. Weapons outside continued charging. Reth's mind raced. If he refused, the station would be destroyed. If he accepted, he would lose authority. But one look at the tactical screen, made the choice obvious. 300 ships now surrounded them, and more were still arriving. Reth slowly lifted his hand. Release the human. Across the station, the containment locks opened. The guard stepped aside. The human simply walked forward, in angered, in fear, just quiet determination. Then he looked once more out the window at the massive human fleet waiting in silence. And for the first time, some of the aliens began to realize something terrifying. Humans were not the most dangerous species because of their strength. They were dangerous because of something else. They always came for each other, and no matter what. The countdown on the station screens stopped. 0:00:00. Captain Reth slowly lowered his hand. Release him, he ordered again. Across the station, the security locks disengaged one by one. Heavy metal doors slid open with deep mechanical sound. In the corridor, the guard stepped away from the human, and O1 tried to stop him now, and O1 even pointed a weapon. Because outside the station, 300 human warships were watching. The human calmly walked through the corridor. The guards moved aside. Automatically. One of them whispered quietly, "I think we made a very bad mistake." Another guard nodded. "You think?" Meanwhile, in the command center, the communication screen flickered again. Admiral Hayes was still there, waiting, watching. Captain Reth spoke carefully. "The human has been released." The admiral didn't react. Her voice remained calm. "And the officer who attacked the child?" Reth hesitated. All eyes in the command room slowly turned toward one individual. Security Officer Karn Velis, the alien who had started everything. The same officer who had grabbed the human child in the marketplace. Velis stepped forward angrily. "This is ridiculous. They are threatening us." Reth turned slowly toward him. "And you created this situation," Velis hissed. "It was just a human child." The room went silent. On the screen, Admiral Hayes' eyes grew colder, but she still said nothing. Reth took a slow breath. Then he spoke the words Velis never expected to hear. "Officer Karn Velis, you are relieved of duty." Velis' eyes widened. "You can't do that," Reth continued. "You are under arrest for abuse of authority and violation of station law." Two guards stepped forward. Velis struggled. "You're choosing humans over your own people?" Ref answered quietly, "I am choosing survivor." The guards dragged Velis out of the room, and O1 tried to stop them, but on the screen, Admiral Hayes finally nodded slightly. A wise decision. But she wasn't finished. "The child?" Reth blinked. "Yes. I want to see that the child is safe." Reth gestured to another officer. Moments later, a medical room appeared on the screen. Inside the room sat a small human girl, no older than 8, her arm wrapped in a medical brace. Next to her stood the human who had fought the guards earlier. He was speaking softly to her, trying to make her smile. The girl looked nervous, but she wasn't crying anymore. Admiral Hayes watched the scene silently. Then she spoke. "What is your name?" The little girl looked toward the camera. "Lena." The Admiral's voice softened slightly. "Hello, Lena." The girl waved shyly. "Hi." Admiral Hayes asked, "Are the doctors taking care of you?" Lena nodded. "Yes." Then she pointed at the human standing beside her. "My brothers saved me." The command room became quiet again. Admiral Hayes looked at the young man, Cadet Daniel Reyes. Daniel nodded. "Yes, ma'am. You did well." Daniel answered calmly. "I just did what any human would do." The Admiral nodded once. Then she looked back toward Captain Reth. "The situation appears resolved." Reth finally relaxed slightly. "So the fleet will leave?" For a moment, Admiral Hayes didn't answer. Then she said something that made the entire command room uneasy. "Not yet." Reth frowned. "What do you mean?" The Admiral leaned back slightly in her chair. "Our fleet arrived quickly." "Too quickly." The command room exchanged confused looks. Reth asked slowly, "I don't understand." The Admiral's voice became serious again. "Because we didn't come here only for the child." The room grew silent. She continued. "While our ships were arriving, our scanners detected something else." The tactical officer checked his console. Then his eyes widened in shock. "Captain, what?" "There's another fleet." Reth's stomach dropped. "Another human fleet?" The officer shook his head slowly. "No." He turned the screen toward the room. Dozens of unknown ships appeared on the display. Dark, unidentified. moving quickly toward the station, and the signal attached to them was worse, a pirate armada of over 500 ships. The officer whispered, "They must have been waiting for the station to be distracted." On the screen, Admiral Hayes spoke calmly. "Now you understand." Reth stared at the incoming armada. "They're going to attack the station." The admiral nodded. "Yes." The pirate fleet continued moving closer, weapons charging, engines blazing, and suddenly the situation became very clear. The station wasn't surrounded by the human fleet anymore. The IT was being protected by it. Admiral Hayes gave the final order. "All human ships." Her voice echoed through hundreds of warships. "Prepare for combat." Outside the station, 300 human warships slowly turned to face the incoming pirate armada, weapons glowing, engines roaring, ready for war, and Captain Reth realized something incredible. The same humans they had insulted were now the only things standing between the station and complete destruction. The hangar was silent. Broken alien armor covered the floor like pieces of a shattered machine. Some soldiers were unconscious. Others were slowly trying to crawl away. In the center of it all, the human girl stood still. Her breathing was calm again. But the entire academy felt different now. The alien students were staring at her like she was something they had never seen before. Something dangerous. Something unstoppable. Far above the academy, inside the orbital command station, human officers were watching everything through the academy security feed. Point one officer slowly removed his glasses. "Well," he sighed quietly, "I think the academy just learned lesson number one." Another officer looked at the screen. "About humans?" The first officer nodded. "Yes." Then he said the words that would soon spread across half the galaxy. "Never corner a human." Back in the academy hangar, emergency teams finally arrived. Teachers, security officers, medical drones. They rushed inside expecting chaos, but what they saw made them stop instantly. Alien soldiers everywhere, some stuck in walls, some buried under broken training bots, some frozen in pure fear, and in the middle, a single human girl quietly standing. Point one of the teachers whispered, "What happened here?" The alien commander who had started everything slowly raised his head. His armor was cracked. His pride even more. He looked at the teacher, then pointed weakly toward the human girl. His voice trembled. "That human," he swallowed. "We thought she was weak." The teacher looked at the girl again, then sighed. "You really shouldn't have done that." The human girl scratched the back of her head awkwardly. "Sorry about the mess." She looked around at the destroyed training machines. Do I have detention now?" For a moment, no one spoke. Then one alien student quietly said, "I think we should apologize instead." Later that night, across the Galactic Academy network, a video began spreading rapidly. Security footage, multiple alien soldiers surrounding one human girl. Then the fight. Then the absolute disaster. Within hours, the title of the video changed again and again, but the most popular one was simple. They tried to corner the human girl. Big mistake. In distant star systems, military commanders watched the footage carefully. Alien government studied it. Strategists analyzed every second. Not because of the fight, but because of something more terrifying. The human girl had been holding back the entire time, and one quiet message was sent across the interstellar defense network, that a warning, that a reminder, that a rule that no one would forget again. Humans may look calm, but they come from a death world, and if you push them too far, they don't panic. They don't run. They finish the fight, and somewhere in the academy dorms, the human girl was already asleep, completely unaware that half the galaxy had just learned her name.